We have to figure out how to protect our children because you know they seem to be the most vulnerable, and yet they're the high target, and it's concerning to us.
Yeah.
You know, we just had a shooting in New Mexico. I don't know if you knew that. Another school shooting in Aztec, New Mexico.
How about the
it's crazy.
and Ed? What scares me is when these shootings pop up, and we're talking about these shootings, is they're not as a big of deal. It used to be it was breaking news. We're becoming numb to it.
We had that conversation. The public's become desensitized.
Yes,
and that is very disturbing.
It is disturbing. I mean, New York City had the bombing and the pipe bomb. You know what's interesting about that story? That's the first. Think about this: first suicide bomber in the United States that ever was able to ignite a bomb. Yeah. To me, for a city like New York, that is the biggest danger. Is now you got to worry about getting on a bus. You got to worry about getting on a train.
Well, even going to Las Vegas.
Vegas.
And, you know, my wife's worried about Vegas now.
I know.
Well, that's where you used to go every once in a while to go have fun.
Yeah.
Right now, you're worried about it.
Yeah. That type of attack was, I think, was so unheard of, unexpected, and you know that right there added to the desensitivity to it because
it's the stuff happening over and over and over again.
You know, right after that was the guy who
normal.
Yeah.
Right after
another shooting.
Yeah.
Right after the shooting was the
you're right. Yeah.
Was the guy who drove over those people in New York City.
Yeah.
And you know, it almost took back seat to it.
I was in New York, and when somebody went in and shut up the hospital, this was
in the
a couple of months ago in the Bronx, and we're watching a caravan of police going by, vans and trucks, and I'm like, what is going on? But when you looked around, no one was paying attention. Everybody was just walking on because you got to get to Macy's. You know,
the sale's going to end soon.
Sale's going to end. I don't care what's going on back there. I'm going this way.
That was what struck me was, you know, a suicide bomber, right? And he only really hurt himself. A couple of people got minor injuries, but because it wasn't a big thing, everyone was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. 10 minutes later, it was like back to normal.
Yeah.
And they're on the Today Show. They're still waving outside, waving to get on camera.
Out the window. Yeah.
But, you know,
they're trying to get on with their sign.
This guy is though a trove of information for law enforcement that he did survive, and he's talking.
You're right, but that is the big thing that we don't want to kill the person because we want to find out what's in the head.
Sure. Yeah.
Because otherwise we're stuck with Vegas, where nobody knows anything, and now the conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people, was he really the shooter?
Was there more than one shooter?
Was there more than one? It's crazy.
And so then you get caught up in the details instead of why he did that and why he's a terrorist, right? And why he decided to use terror against people to make what point? I have no idea.
What point could you make?
I don't know.
It's just the craziest
it is.
thing
So,
in the world.
so we talked about because, we need to have conversations about that. We need to start talking about that and not forget, and I'm glad that none of us mentions anybody's name because I don't want to remember their name.
I agree.
And I think that's part of the media is that they keep saying these people, and my wife goes, you know that? I go, you know what? Don't even mention
not just the name.
I don't want to hear his name.
We dig in and do
I don't care what his
bios on them.
Yeah.
We're learning about their childhood.
That's the fuel for them.
All of a sudden,
I think it is.
They become famous.
Once in a while, you see one of these officials, one of these police chiefs or sheriffs, they would say, you know what? I'm not naming them.
Yeah.
I know, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You know what? Once you give, the other person out there that's thinking about becoming famous by doing the same thing, once you stop doing that, that takes that off the table, and maybe you could save some lives.
Well, there is a gratification that they get off being able to know that their name is all over and they get on into history, and that's an pretty weird way of trying to get a high, but for them it seems to be. In studio this morning, of course, is Stephen Michael Quezeda. He played Gomez on the hit series Breaking Bad. He'll be tonight. Compliments of Dr. Marty Morrell, the arthritis specialist, will be over at the Yanendasas. And this is their way of contributing. It is a golf and country club, and there won't be any golf over there today.
No, I brought my clubs.
It's cold,
They brought the special balls, too.
I have these red Volvic balls.
Oh.
I think I'll be able to see those.
I think you might be able to.
If they let me out,
I'll go. They will stand out.
I'll go.
Snow golf. I like it.
Yeah. I think I have a Santa's hat that I can put over my ears. I'll be
That'd be
good.
perfect, because it's not that cold out.
It's a great course.
He'll be there tonight at the Ondas. It's 5 till 7. Come over. You can get pictures taken and autographs and all of that stuff. All we ask is that you bring toys or a donation for the toy drive. Santa Claus will be there for the kids. It will be open for children as well, and refreshments. And Keith James is playing music. It'll be awesome.
Can I go back to Breaking Bad? I want to pepper you with a couple of things.
Sure. Right.
I'm wondering.
Pepper time.
I'm wondering, like, when you're shooting your scenes, are you there for a week at a time? Are you there? How long is filming? Is it for months? Is it for weeks? Are you there only on certain days?
It takes 8 days to shoot an episode. So. But for me, I lived in Albuquerque, so I just get up in the morning and go to work when I worked. So it just depended on how many scenes you had to shoot. Usually I was, 1 day an episode within an 8-day work week. Because I was working with Dean, and he was a monster. And when I say a monster is we would go in, we would shoot every scene 3 takes each angle. So you normally, the way you shoot is you shoot 3 different angles. You shoot a master, and then you shoot each actor's close-ups, and then they edit it together. And so then that becomes the editor's creative process.
When they're shooting that, is it multiple cameras when they're doing that, or is it just
one camera? It's a one-camera setup, so you do it over, which is good. So you get a couple of different tries at it.
Got it.
But but Dean was so good that everything was done in 3 takes. So I only had 3 takes. You can get more if they're up for it, they want it. But once the director sees that he has it, he moves on because, again, you have 8 days. You can't go over.
I find interesting is you say 8 days for so an episode is an hour and change. It varies a little bit, right? Or was this exactly
AMC? So it was like 41 minutes.
Okay. Right, because they got commercials.
41 minutes, and the rest is commercials.
Yeah. So I have to ask though. And they're creating such artwork on these shows. These whether you're talking about AMC or we're talking about Netflix or any of these, the quality is so unbelievable. So how is it?
We'll just say cable and
in general,
it has changed the game.
It has.
Yeah.
So my question would be, how in the world does it take so long to make a 90-minute movie when you guys are pumping out artwork in 8 days? Gotta wonder.
That you do have to wonder that. Yeah. I've been doing quite a few independent films, and you're right. It's a 32 to a 34-day, shooting schedule.
Yeah.
But with film, you can do more than that 3 takes, and sometimes it takes that because maybe they're just not as good as pre-production as television is. Yeah. And maybe that whole pre-planning skill set that, television brings to the table.
Right.
Now you got to understand that while we're shooting, the reason why there's a different director on series every episode is because while we're shooting, they're preparing and doing the pre-production for the next episode. So you have a whole other director in there doing all that homework because you go from one episode and then you don't have like days off. You go right to the next, and so you go in, you get your script, and they're prepared to go. So that kind of, I think, helps. And with a film, you have the same director, and he's dealing with the problems, and he's dealing with the stuff, in the 30-some-odd days.
Right.
And they're also using one camera. But you're right. The skill set now for television is high.
It's unbelievable.
Especially if you're filming still. Yeah. And, Breaking Bad was still shot on film. It's not new media.
Oh, I didn't know
they
that.
shot film, and that's why it was so beautiful. So when you saw the big Albuquerque skyline and the mountains and the Rio Grande River, and you were like, what? That's pretty awesome looking, And time-lapse and all this stuff. The desert, cool. Right? Tahajali in the desert and all these shots. You're like, this is beautiful. Who would think the desert looked that beautiful?
I know.
These guys know how to capture it.
Yeah, that is really cool. All right, Mr. Pepperman.
Is there anyone else? Is there anyone? You hear stories about like Will Ferrell goes into character for like weeks when he's doing a role. Yeah. Anybody on Breaking Bad who was like locked in character when you were off?
Yeah, I think Brian is still selling meth. Oh. Yeah, I mean he's real rich now, and we should worry about how anybody that kind of money.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Method acting, I think, is what it's called.
I think everybody except for Brian, really, who stepped himself out of a box. We were casted based on who we were. And that's that's probably the hardest thing to pull off, is show up and be yourself. But it's the most effective. And even though Dean is not, Hank Schrader,
right?
His voice and his mannerisms and all that doesn't change. It's just the lines you have him say,
sure,
or what are different, right? Because you had this guy who was borderline, prejudice kind of guy, right?
Right.
But it wasn't. It came from a humorous place. And when you know Dean, he totally is. He loves this guy loves everybody. Matter of fact, you got to watch it because Dean will kiss you. We're huggers where we come from, but these guys from South Bend, they're kissers. And, so you gotta.
That is funny.
He really tests your manhood there, buddy. But he's such a great human being. And then to say action, and he'd play but it was him really, but he would just say these lines.
Right.
Betsy Brandt was hilarious. Played Marie, his wife. She's one of the funniest, and I knew she was going to go into sitcom after this. I go, you're going straight to sitcom after this. She goes, well, the sitcoms, they're not reading me. I go, they're totally going to read you now.
Yeah.
And wait till they read you and see how funny you are, because she's so hilarious. And so everybody was really funny, and it was funny. I was the stand-up comic, and they were all funny on set, but I was trying to be an actor.
Right.
So I didn't have time to be funny.
Yeah.
I had to be this actor, and I was focusing, and I was one of those guys that was doing my method and my beats, and I was, because I know I only had 3 takes with Dean. Dean would roll in and hit it, knock it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd forget my line because I was amazed he just did all those pages. Like,
did you worry about that forgetting line? I mean, is that something that weighs on you? You're forgetting your lines, and
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Especially when you start out, because you think, if I forget my lines 4 times, I'm in a series where there's guns involved.
Yeah, that's right. I could
be out of the series. Very quickly.
Yeah.
It's written this way: Gomez is cleaning his gun. Bang! Gomez is dead.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
What a way to go!
Yeah.
We didn't plan it that way, but it had to happen.
Right? Because he forgot his lines. Right.
So when you were
talking, forgetting your lines, we'll just take care of that problem.
It's funny.
You were talking earlier about how some series will make it. It'll be like season 2, part 1, part 2A, or whatever, right? Yeah. But and they do that because you only get paid for 1 season. If that happens, you don't know going in how many episodes, how many appearances you have. Do you get paid a flat rate for the season? Do you get by appearance?
I got paid per episode. I was a special guest star, right? I wasn't a cast member. Yeah. I did win a SAG award because I did X amount of episodes, so the Screen Actors Guild recognizes me as a cast member, but producers did not. Sony did not.
Okay. Got it. And there's a technicality there in terms
there's
of
a pay scale.
Pay.
This is special guest star, and this is cast member.
Right.
So but I don't look back at things in a bad way. It was an
But you had it,
opportunity
and
of a lifetime.
that also led to the. I'm reading the script, and I'm thankful I'm here again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that they liked me enough to keep me
big.
coming back through the hole until we got to where we, to where we ended up.
Well, that's interesting when you see on the credits it says special guest star, and you're like, well, what? They're on almost every show.
Yeah, I want you to hold your peppering, and we'll do it because there's a few guests I got to get in here.
Okay.
But ladies and gentlemen, tonight at the Yanandasa, Stephen Michael Quezeda played the DEA agent Gomez on Breaking Bad. He'll be at the Yanandasas. It's open to the public. It's all part of our toy drive, and we hope you come by and make a cash donation or toys. It goes to
We'll take checks, too, by the way.
Take checks, too. It goes to a great cause. Operation Sunshine is amazing. We work with the Marine Corps, Toys for Tots as well. And a special thank you to arthritis specialists for allowing us to put all this together.